Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good day everyone. So in this video I'm going to explain about two-dimensional array. So in previous classes and videos we have learned about one-dimensional array. So here we are going to continue with another type of data structure, which is two-dimensional array. So it is a collection of a fixed number of components arranged in rows and columns. So in two-dimensional array you can have more than one row. Before this one-dimensional array, you only work with one row of data. So now, similar to one-dimensional array, the components that you can keep in the array have the same data type. So if you declare the array as string, all of the components or elements will be string data type. If you declare as double, all of them will be double data type. So why do we need this two-dimensional array? Because sometimes the data that you have in a table form, so it's quite difficult for you to represent them in one-dimensional array. So that's why we have this two-dimensional array. This is the syntax how to declare a two-dimensional array. So you have to put your data type. So here the difference is the square bracket that we have. In one-dimensional array, we only have one square bracket. So in two-dimensional array, you are going to have two square brackets here. The array name, and after that new data type, and you have to give what's the value of the row and column. So you need to know how big is your row and how big is your column. So intro is just the number of rows, in column is number of columns, and this intro and also in column should be more than 0. So for example here, I declare one two-dimensional array with double data type. I have the two square brackets here. My array name is sales equals to new double, and I have here 10 and 5. So 10 is the size of the row, 5 is the size of the column. So this is the representation of the array that we have. So as I said, 10 is the size of the row. So meaning we start from 0 until 9. And 5 is the size of the column. So we start from 0 until 4. And the default values are 0.0 and the array name is sales. So once you declare this two-dimensional array, you will have this representation in your memory. When you want to assign value to your two-dimensional array, this is the syntax. You have to put the array name and you have to give the row position and also the column position equal to what value that you want to assign. So for example, this statement stores 25.75 into row number 5 and column number 3. So when we say row number 5, it is actually the 6th row, and column number 3 is the 4th column because our index starts from 0. So sales row 5 column 3 equals to 25.75. So this is the representation of the memory. As we said, sales index 5 and 3. So 5 is the row, 3 is the index. 3 is the column. However, if we count here, the row is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's why we said it is at row number 6 and the column is at number 4. So this value 25.75 is assigned to this index. Sales row number 5 and index and column number 3. Similar to one-dimensional array, you can also initialize the array by assigning some value to it. So you can directly declare and initialize two-dimensional array like this. So you have the data type, the two square brackets, and after that your array name equals to, you have to keep the value within curly braces. You have outer curly braces and inner curly braces. So this outer curly braces opens here and closes at the end. So for each row, you have to put the value within another two curly braces. and the values should be separated with comma. So this is for the first row. You have 2, 3 and 1. The second row you have 15, 25 and 13. The third row you have 20, 4 and 7. And the last row you have 11, 18 and 14. So finally you will have 4 rows of values, and the column is 3. So if you notice, each of this row has 3 elements. So we have 3 columns here. So our row starts from 0 until 3, and our column starts from 0 until 2. So when you declare and initialize in this way, automatically in your memory there will be one two-dimensional array, and the values is already assigned here. So after this, you can do any processing about the two-dimensional array. So I'm going to show you 4 examples of how we process the two-dimensional array. First is to initialize the array element with some value, the similar value. And then I'm going to show you how to print the array elements and to read the array elements. Finally, I will show you how to find the average among all of the elements. So in this example, suppose that we have the declaration here. So we have integer row and column, and our declaration of our array. Our array data type is integer, and we have the array name here as matrix, and we have the curly brace, the square brackets equals to new integer 7 and 6. So meaning we have 7 rows and 6 columns. So we are going to make use of this array for processing the array. So this is the memory representation when we declare a two-dimensional array with size, the row size is 7 and the column is 6. So your index for the row starts from 0 until 6, and your column starts from 0 until 5. And the initial value are 0 for all of the elements because we declare the array as integer. So example is to initialize a value of 10 as the element of our array. So here we have array name as matrix, and the size is 7 and 6 as we declared earlier. In order to assign the value of 10 to as the element of the array, we have to use nested for loop. So if you still remember, we learned about nested for loop earlier. So we have outer for loop and inner for loop. So the outer for loop will control the number of rows that we have, and the inner for loop will control the number of columns. So in our case, we are having 7 rows and 6 columns. So this is the representation of the memory. Our array name is matrix, and our row starts from 0 until 6, and the column starts from 0 until 5. So now the default value is 0, and what we are going to do is that we are going to assign 10 to all of these array indexes. So we do that by using the for loop as I said earlier. So now we start tracing. We have row equals to 0. So our row starts from 0. Row less than matrix dot length. So this matrix dot length referring to the number of rows that we have. So here we have 7. So we are comparing whether the value of row is less than 7. So 0 less than 7 is true. So if it is true, you go inside the loop. So inside the loop, we have our inner loop. So we start the initialization of column variable. So column starts from 0, call starts from 0, 0 less than matrix row. So as I said, it controls the number of columns. So our column is 6. So this is actually call less than 6. So 0 less than 6, true. So when it is true, you go inside the loop. So what we do next is we assign matrix row call equals to 10. So here we have matrix 0, our row is 0. and our call is 0 as well. So we assign this to 10. So what we do now, we go to index 0, 0. It is no more 0, it becomes 10. Okay, so after we have done that, we update our call value. So now call value becomes 1. 1 less than 6, true. When it is true, you go inside the loop and you do this one again. So this time around, we are going to assign value of 10 to matrix index 0 and 1. So 0 and 1 is here. We assign this to 10. Okay, after that, you come to your update statement. Call value becomes 2. 2 less than 6, true. When it is true, again, you assign the value 0 and 2 to 10. So here it becomes 10. And then you go to your update statement. 3 less than 6, true. Again, you assign matrix 0 and 3 to 10. After that, our call value becomes 4. 4 less than 6, true. When it is true, you go inside the loop and you assign the value matrix 0, 4 to 10. And then call plus plus, call becomes 5. 5 less than 6, true. Again, you assign to 10. So now this one becomes 10. Call plus plus, call becomes 6. 6 less than 6. This one will become false. So when it is false, we call back when your inner loop becomes false, then only you're going to update the outer loop counter variable. So now this one already becomes false, so you update the row value now, the row becomes 1. So here, this is our first round. So then we are going to update the row to become 1. So row less than matrix dot length, 1 less than 7, true. So when it is true, you go inside the inner loop. So inner loop initialization is 0. 0 less than 6, true. So when it is true, you go inside the loop. Now what we do is that we are going to assign matrix 1, 0 to 10. So 1, 0 is 10 now. Okay, so this process will continue until the outer loop becomes false. So finally, all of this array element will have value of 10. Okay, I'm not going to show you until the end, but the loop continues like this. And finally, all of the array element will be 10. Okay, the next example in this slide is to print and read two-dimensional array. So first is the printing. So similar to example just now, we are going to print the values inside your array by using nested for loop. So similarly, we have our row equals to 0, row less than matrix dot length, and row plus plus. And your inner loop is column equals to 0, column less than matrix index row dot length, and call plus plus. So in each of the loop, you are going to print out what is the value inside this array by using the matrix row and column. So it will traverse one by one as we did just now in the tracing table, starting from index 0, 0, 0, 1 until the end of the row, and then continues to the second row until the end. So it will print whatever value that you have inside the array. Okay, hopefully you can trace and do it by yourself. So because it is just the similar process. This example is how to calculate the average of all elements that we have in two-dimensional array. So let's see this code. So we have here the declaration of declaration and initialization of a two-dimensional array. The array name is sales and the data type is double. So here, if you see, we have three lines of data. So first row, we have 120 and 350. The second row is 150, 30, and 40, and the last one is 150 and 50. So the size of this array, if we see roughly here, it is 3 by 3. 3 rows and 3 columns. So now what we are going to do is that we need to calculate the sum of all these values, and we have to find out what's the average. So we have to use nested for loop as well, similar to the previous example. So we have the outer for loop and inner for loop. I hope that you have understood these two for loop headers. So what we do in this for loop is to calculate the sum, and also we want to know how many elements that we have. So we have one variable to calculate the number of elements each time you do the summation. You calculate you plus the number with 1. So you're going to calculate how many elements that you have in that array. And after that, you're going to get the average by using our ordinary average formula. So you divide sum with the number of elements, and you're going to print out the value. Okay, let's see what happened actually. I will show you part of the for loop execution so that you get some idea. So here we have row at index 0, row less than sales.length. So in this case, the length of our row is 3. Okay, so row 0 less than 3 is true. So when it is true, you go inside the loop. And you see there is an inner loop here. So call. So variable call starts from 0, 0 less than sales row dot length. So this is representing the number of column that we have. So we have 3 here. So we are actually comparing 0 with 3. So 0 less than 3 true. So when it is true, you go inside the loop. There is a summation formula here. Sum plus equals to sales row and column. So what we do actually is that if we expand this formula, it is sum equals to sum plus sales at index row and what index column. So currently our row and column is 0, 0. So meaning what we do is that sum equals to the current value of sum is 0, 0.0 plus with sales at row 0 and column also 0. So our value is 0, 0.0 plus with sales at index 0 and 0. So if we refer to representation of the memory here, it is 100. So 0, 0.0 plus with 100.0, you will get 100. So our sum value will be updated to 100. Initially it was 0, 0.0, so now it becomes 100. So after that, if you see here, number of element, so that is just to count how many elements that we have. So initially it was 0, so now we plus with 1, number of element becomes 1. So after that, we go to the call plus plus, the update statement of your inner loop. So call value becomes 1, 1 less than 3, true. So when it is true, you go again inside the loop. So now you sum the value. So we have 100, 100.0 plus with the sales row and column. So now our row is 0, our column is 1. So what's the value here is row 0 and column 1, it is 20. So now we sum 100.0 plus with 20.0. and you will get 120.0. So now sum value is no more 100, it becomes 120. So after that, after you have summed the value, you plus 1 for the number of element. The number of element will become 2. Okay, then you come to your update statement. Call value becomes 2. 2 less than 3 true. So when it is true, you go inside the loop again. And you are going to calculate the sum value again. So now we have 120. We plus with the sales at row 0 and 2. So sales at index 0 and 2 is 350. So we plus 120 with 350. You will get 470. So now sum value becomes 470. After that, don't forget we have to update the number of element variable. It becomes 3. Okay, so after you have updated the number of element, you have to update the call variable. So now call becomes 3, 3 less than 3, this will become false. So you are finished with the first row of your array. So next we are going to continue with the updates of your outer loop. So row becomes 1, and you are going to continue the process again, the loop again. 1 less than 3 true. So you go inside the loop again. You start the column with 0, 0 less than 3 true, and you are going to calculate the sum of index row 1 and column 0. So row 1 and column 0 is 150. So 470 you plus with 150, you are going to get 620. And this process will be continued until you finish your element inside your this array. Okay, finally you are going to get some amount of value for the sum, and after that you can calculate the average. So I'm not going to trace one by one until the end, so hopefully you have understood how to trace it, and I'll just run this program. So the average that I get for all element is 98.89. So meaning all the values here are being totaled up, and after that we calculate the average and we just print out what's the value. The most important thing is you know how it travels along the array one by one. So we use the index number to traverse the array. Okay, hopefully you have got some idea about two-dimensional array so that you can use in your codes later on. Okay, thank you for watching.